The Cloudcast is sponsored by Intel Cloud for All, driving the creation of tens of thousands of clouds.
Cloudcast Media presents from the massive studios in Raleigh, North Carolina. This is the Cloudcast with Aaron Delp and Brian Gracely, bringing you the best of cloud computing from around the world.
Good morning, good evening, wherever you are, and welcome to another episode of the Cloudcast. We're coming to you live from DockerCon here in Barcelona, and we are very near the end. I've got two guys that are tired, but I'm amazed you guys have the amount of energy that you still do.
Still trucking.
Yeah, Cloudcast alumni here. So let me introduce here. So this goes back to previous DockerCon. DockerCon actually, Cloudcast 199. I'm tired too. Diogo and Nathan from the security team at Docker. Why don't you guys go ahead and give a quick introduction for the new listeners that weren't around last time, and then we'll kind of dig into some topics from there.
My name is Diogo Monica. I'm the security lead at Docker, and this is Nathan, security director at Docker. We joined in February, so it's been 9 incredibly fulfilling months that feel like 9 incredibly fulfilling years.
Yeah, I can absolutely believe that. And so I would say, everyone, if you want the cumulative where we were with Docker and security up until May, go listen to 199. And then this will be part 2. So we'll talk about everything that's happened since the last time in this particular episode and start trying to rehash a bunch of the previous things. It was really interesting to me to listen to both the keynote yesterday and today in the fact that security was front and center, I would say, in both keynotes without a doubt. And you even got to do like the cool freeze frame of choking some. Like it was pretty entertaining little demo without a doubt. So for those of you that don't know what I'm talking about, go back and see the replay of the day one keynote. It was pretty funny. But if you don't mind, guys, give me a quick rundown for those that don't know.
So over the past few months, we've been incredibly busy, and there's a lot of things that are already in progress when we joined Docker, obviously. But it was really picking up the pace in terms of delivering the security features that the ecosystem was earning for, essentially. There's been things that I've added to the isolation capabilities of Docker, but there are things that are essentially looking overall at the whole end-to-end experience of Docker, from everywhere, from the beginning when you're building your image and signing it all the way to when you're consuming it and actually running these applications. And so we are incredibly excited at this DockerCon to talk about hardware signing, which is an industry first. It is the first time that you actually have hardware-based capabilities and keys stored in hardware to be able to sign your containers and ship them to production. So.
Yeah, and so we'll dig into that. So was it you that got to do the Oprah moment, or who got to do the Oprah moment on stage?
Yeah, Solomon actually tried to do the Oprah moment. He was the one that handed out YubiKeys to everyone. I was the one that got to do the freeze frame and almost strangle a developer that pushed private keys to GitHub.
Right. And so what happened is you kind of taped under the chair a hardware signing key for everyone in the audience, which was actually really cool. So everyone can kind of go do it and play with it.
That's right.
And it was really fascinating because it is nice to see that level of security really brought down to this ecosystem. Because it's definitely thought of in the kind of more mature spaces, if you will. But the fact that it's coming to the emerging technology space so quickly was definitely a good thing.
I think the major change here is that people shouldn't use Docker and be concerned about security. Our positioning is people should come to Docker because of the security features, because they want to be more secure. Yep. That is the fundamental shift from February to November, is the fact that people will come now to the ecosystem because it is the only ecosystem that provides you an integrated experience with security end-to-end.
Yep. And for those that aren't familiar with the hardware key and what it brings, tell everyone kind of the user experience, right? Like what changes if you're using this now?
So 6 months ago, we launched an open source project called Notary that allows you to have trust over arbitrary collections of data. And it uses a very advanced framework for security called the Update Framework. Then 3 months ago, we integrated that into Docker, and we launched Docker Content Trust that allows you with Docker to have this security features. And now what we're releasing the ability for you to put the root keys, which are the keys to the castle, let's put it this way, into hardware in a way that you can use them on your laptop. in such a way that malware on your computer cannot steal the key from the hardware and cannot do signatures, because you have to prove that you're human by touching the key every time you sign.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that was interesting to me, without a doubt. So what are some of the other big things that we talked about here between yesterday and today? So it's actually funny. Yeah, I get to kind of look at each of you in turn and go, "Wait, you were on the stage yesterday, Nathan. You were on the stage today." Yep. So tell us about your piece.
Sure. So actually, before I move on to day two, I want to go back to another one of the day one announcements. It's kind of this funny thing where Solomon said, "Now that we're done talking about security, let's talk about security." Right. So launched into another security topic, which that one is an important one about the quality of your images, or maybe the security of your images. So what we've launched is a project called Project Nautilus. And Project Nautilus's goal is to let you know if there is vulnerable software in your container. And so when we decided we wanted to go down and look down this path, there's a lot of prior art in this area and approaches that have been taken. But what we wanted to do is look at it maybe from a new perspective and see if it is different for containers or if we can apply the existing strategies. And it turned out that because of the way containers get built, because of the way our ecosystem has adapted, we've decided to meld our solution into something that works for what our users do. So we really take a bottoms-up approach to starting from basically the first principle of you can put any file into a container. It may have gotten there in any particular way, so you can't rely on any sources of metadata. You just have to look at each individual file that's in the container image itself, and in a bottoms-up way, scan all of those and use a series of many heuristics to find any vulnerable pieces of software. So we're looking for known CVEs, known bad configurations, basically anything that could lead to someone possibly running a vulnerable image. And we want to provide that as a scanning service so that folks running registries, either on the Docker Hub or potentially on their own registries as well, have the ability to really know what's in there on a layer-by-layer basis and figure out exactly where that vulnerable software may have come from so that they can remediate the situation.
Yeah. And to give you an idea, the power of it, you didn't name names, which is probably a good thing, but there was actually, I think it was security vulnerabilities actually found in some existing distros that were pointed out and reported back. And that gives you an idea of like it isn't just taking the existing stuff that's out there and kind of repackaging it. It's actually you guys are actually finding new stuff.
Yeah, and in that process, trying to make sure that one of the cool things about Docker is the ability to reuse images, and so that amplifies the use of those containers, but it also amplifies the effect of vulnerabilities. So it's extremely important to make sure that the base images, the official images that we promote as really good content, are free of vulnerabilities. So that's a top level concern for Docker moving forward.
Yeah, absolutely makes sense. So let's move on to day two.
Yeah, absolutely. So day two, we announced a number of pretty cool features. The first one was that we've taken Notary and Docker Content Trust and then integrated that into our Trusted Registry product. The Docker Trusted Registry is a registry that you can run behind your firewall on an on-premise scenario if, for whatever reason, your security or compliance requirements require that you can't use the public Docker Hub. And so we've integrated Notary into that so you can have all the benefits of image signing and provenance within your own environment.
Yep.
And then additionally, we launched a product called the Docker Universal Control Plane, and that has a bunch of different features from access control to management of volumes, networks, basically everything you would want to do with Docker. But then another feature that we wanted to provide to everyone is a first-class way within the control plane to manage your secret data. So this is one of the things that a lot of folks in the industry have been asking for. It's like, how can I get secret data into containers? Yep. The idea is that these are immutable objects, but I don't want to store my secrets along with them.
Right.
Please provide us a solution. And so we provided a pretty slick solution that both allows you to put secrets in and then transparently rotate them if necessary.
And I don't think the secrets aspect of the universal control plane I thought was overlooked slightly in the keynote because everyone was so focused on the control plane.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
The fact that it had a pretty UI.
Yeah. And everyone was still, because I was actually surprised that didn't call out more because I saw the demo and I was like, oh yeah, that's actually really freaking handy. But then I was kind of sitting around and thinking about going, well, I think everyone's still just absorbing the fact that there's a control plane, more or less the nuances of the importance of something like that within the control.
It was almost a one more thing,
right?
There's also a question about maturity of the company, right? And there's very few companies that are at a point where they are ready to jump to a mature secret solution. And what essentially you're giving them is the ability to do that transparently by just using the control plane, right?
Yeah, no, that makes absolute sense. And where I kind of see this going, and I just was wondering, quick comment on you guys, is what are you seeing from the customers that are out there from, they're coming in pinging you guys about security stuff, because, it definitely seems like this is setting up to be an on-prem play, not primarily, but certainly a very valid on-prem secure long-term play by Docker. And it seems to be a very conscious effort of really, you started to see all the pieces finally falling into place and all of the questions finally being answered. And first of all, do you think that? And second of all, what is the customer's reaction throughout the week? I'm sure you've had a lot of conversations between yesterday and today.
I think that's an interesting question. There is definitely a huge on-prem component because we realize that people want to have their own Docker ecosystem within their firewall, whether they're using public cloud or private cloud. But really, they're always a counterpart to the on-prem component with the Docker ecosystem. So in one way, you have your internal way of controlling your containers, and with the Two-Doom acquisition, you see that integration into the control plane is the fact that you can also deploy on public clouds. So I wouldn't say that it is a more focused play on inside of the on-prem versus on the cloud. It is actually quite the opposite. It is making sure that the cloud becomes a commodity, and it really, at the end of the day, does not matter. Yeah. You could run your secure environment, compliant environment within your private cloud, but all of your public stuff on the cloud.
Yeah, truly abstracting away any of the infrastructure at this point, and also at the same time having a universal layer of security.
Exactly. Security is the constant across all of this. Whatever we do, security is not plugged. Security is baked in, so it is part of your cookie. It is not something that you sprinkle on top.
Sure.
And so it is part of both our on-prem and our cloud solutions. And you're going to see this trend coming along. You're going to see the Docker Hub having security features that then the Docker Trusted Registry and that the Universal Control Plane and that the other projects are obviously going to inherit too.
Fantastic. All right, guys. Well, we're out of time for today. Diego, Nathan, where can everyone find out more about you guys, more about what's going on?
Sure. So our GitHub projects are one of the best ways to take a look at that. So github.com/docker/docker is a really good place where we got a lot of the actual work happens there. So folks are looking to contribute. Our website is docker.com/security.
And you can also find us on Twitter.
Yeah, Twitter's good too. And it's just our names. So Nathan McCauley, Diogo Monica.
All right, cool. And I'll put the full spellings out in the show notes for you guys.
Sounds awesome.
Thanks.
All right. Diogo, Nathan, thank you very much for your time. And everyone, thanks for listening.
Thank you for listening to the Cloudcast. Please visit thecloudcast.net to find more shows, show notes, videos, and everything social media.